in many years of doing this, I've always surprised by this rule of thumb. The people with whatever it is, the people with money look like they don't have any, and the people who look like they're loaded are actually broke. Man, that's so many true. That's so true. Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I met this guy that did over $1 billion in deals, and he had a sweatsuit on that looked like he bought from Walmart. Yeah, but he had over 1 billion deals. All right, so you might be surprised, and sometimes a secretary, a postman, or garbage man, or plumber can be a private investor. They may have an old Toyota Corolla, yet have 400,000 in their IRA retirement account, or 200 in a certificate of deposit. 200,000, that is. Of course, there are expectations to the rules, but the point is this: you should treat everyone you talk to as a potential private investor, or at least as if she or he can lead you to one, right? I never forget, I got a great friend, Vicky, man. She's uh, uh, yeah, she's a little lady, a dwarf. And man, she's a little later. What? Okay. Oh, so she helps out, and she was selling all these condos. This is where I really learned it. She knew these people didn't have any money. She knew that without a doubt they didn't have money. But she was like, her reason behind it, they got a friend that got money. And she made a lot of sales showing to somebody that was truly broke, but their friend ended up referring them to somebody, to her, and she ended up selling these $400,000 condos. So treat everybody right. Smile at everyone you meet, treat everyone with respect. And if you have that attitude, you'll be surprised that finding and meeting private investors is actually easier done than imagined. Why will they invest in my deals instead of doing deals themselves? The answer is simple. They don't know what you know. They don't know how to do it. They don't have this book, or they simply have no time to do the deal themselves. Some private investors are successful doctors, lawyers who work 60, 80 hours a week. And the last thing they wanted is a building that takes whatever little time they have left. Your mindset and pulls. Some people I talk to are intimidated by people with money. If you're one of those people, you need to change your mindset very quickly. Private investors are people like you and me. They eat and go to the bathroom like you. Uh, Private investors only a title. You can be one yourself. My point is, you need to approach private investors with confidence and not be intimidated by the fact they have more money than you. Because here's the reality: you bring more value to the table than they do. Let me repeat that. You bring more value. As an active investor who will take the time to find and analyze and manage the deal, you're bringing more value to the table than a private lender or private investor. Every deal is unique. Its unique address, its numbers are unique, its situation's unique. However, $100,000 from one private investor is the same as $100,000 from another private investor. You bring in the deal. You provide the expertise to make it happen. You are spending a resource that is more valuable and actually irreplaceable than money. You're investing your time. So yes, you bring more value than a private investor. There's actually more money chasing deals out there today than ever before. Given the market is hot, who has the deal has the gold. Look, it's a lot of money out there right now, but man, you bring a deal, watch how, man, people are overpaying for deals right now. So knowing the above, what should you pose be? Stand tall, be confident. If the private investor says no, your inner voice should say, your loss, not mine. I don't care, because this is such a great deal that the private investor for this deal is just around the corner. If you have the I don't care if you invest or not attitude, and it shows in your pose or body language, you can raise private capital easily. Now, let me expound on that. I love saying the SW. I love saying SW, right? It's SW is so what? Some will, some won't, but someone else is waiting. You hear me? Somebody's ready to invest in your deal. And yes, you're going to get rejected. Man, I got tons of rejections. And guess what? I'm about to ink a deal where we're grabbing, I don't know, 50 to 100 million from some private wealth, individual funds, whatever. So keep pushing, man. After a period of time, it's all it is practice. It's a numbers game, man. I don't care. Matter of fact, I'll never forget when I was filing for a scholarship in high school, and I didn't really have the grades, right? I had decent grades, but I didn't have them high enough. And I was just like, look, man, I'm gonna mail out 100 letters. Somebody's gonna tell me yes. And guess what? I sent out 100 letters and I got 3 responses, and they gave me a scholarship over 15 grand, $15,000. $15,000. I raised that by just submitting the documents for a scholarship. All right. It's a numbers game. All right. Where do private investors hang out? Private investors are interested in growing their money, so they have the best chance. So to have the best chance to meet them, you have to go to places where they learn how to grow money. One of the best ways to attend your local RIA, Real Estate Investors Association. I mean, you can find a lot of hard money investors in that area in RIA, but well, we're going to share some more. Why? The people you meet there are already real estate believers. You don't have to convince them that real estate investing works. They are there because they want to invest in real estate too. However, when they learn or realize it's not easy or it takes a lot of time, some of them want to invest passively and get very good returns on their money. You can also network online. The biggest real estate forum is biggerpockets.com. I meet real estate people all over the country through it. I've been able to line up about 10 million in private capital by using it. However, just meeting people online will not be enough. These investors will want to meet you face to face before investing in your deal, but not always. I've had quite a few people invest I haven't met personally. Yeah, like Fred.
Just recently.
Yeah, I mean, Fred, he sent me what, 100, 200,000. All right. Get in the mind of a private investor. A private investor is very cautious about investing. Their funds are usually their life savings. They don't trust easily as they might have been burnt in the past. To get them to invest with you in your deals, you need to get them to trust you. Hence, you have to find and meet private investors long before you have a deal lined up, because trust takes time. It will probably never happen, and it sure did not happen to me, that a private investor will invest in someone else's deal the first time they meet. Matter of fact, I've met numerous people that had the money but did not invest. But a year, 2 years later, 3 years later, they just say, hey, Mike, send me your bank account. I'm wiring this money. We're going to do a deal. So consistently. What else we got? Oh, here we go. To get them to invest with your deals, you need to get them to trust you. Hence, you have to find and meet private investors long before you have your deal lined up. I learned an expression that I think succinctly summarizes this. You need to dig a well before you're dying of thirst, right? Here's the thing. If you wait until the last minute to fund or find a private investors when you already have a deal lined up, you will sound like you're begging for money. And if you don't intend to beg for money, the fact you need the money soon will make it sound as if you're begging. Private investors don't like it when a potential borrower sounds desperate or in a hurry. They become suspicious and don't trust someone who sounds desperate for investing money. Do you realize when the more you don't act like you want money, the more people throw it at you? It's kind of like the bank. Once you get your credit going, right? Hey, when you had bad credit, wasn't no bank send you nothing. But as soon as your credit start getting good, then all of a sudden you get all these credit cards in the mail. Same way. Another important consideration that goes on in the mind of a private lender is that he or she will want to see if you know what you're doing. If you're perceived as a real estate expert or partners with one, and you're nice, humble, trustworthy human being at the same time, you can raise private capital. How to be perceived. Yeah. Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Finish, close it up?
Yeah.
I'm done. Oh, enough for reading? Okay. I can move on. I don't have to read no more, man. All right, that's enough. That was an excerpt from our book, From Broke to Millions. That was chapter 16. Part one. Oh, now we're going to do a little segment here. We're going to start breaking this down, baby. So today we're all about money and how to raise it and where you can get it from. All right. So today we're going to talk about money, owner financing, private lenders, and syndication. That's it. This is where you're going to get your deals. This is how you're going to get your deal for. Part one, we did the owner finance and private lenders. We talked about that. Somebody hit mute. We talked about that in the book. So let's go on to the next one here. Here's an example of my owner financer. We had a 41 unit deal that we were managing, right? Now, some of you are like, man, I don't have no money. How can I get a deal? Man, put yourself in position and reach out. And this guy we were managing, we told him to put $200,000 into the property to increase the rent. So I'm telling him, like, man, increase the rent. Your property is going to be worth a lot of money, man. And he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So we was like, well, let us take over. And you know what? He was like, cool. And he said, all right, I'll do a land contract or something. You don't know what that is. It's a rent to own. And we did it for $1.25 million. So $1,250,000. We did a land contract with no money down. Yes, no money down still happens. Zero out of pocket, right? And so it gets better. We used the cash flow from that property to renovate and update the apartments, right? So the rent that was going, the net rent we got, we used it, and we used all that money to fix up the place. And that from that, we pushed the rents. And then 15 months later, I got this Kool-Aid smile. Look at me. That's kind of made. You remember, hey, Kool-Aid? Yeah, I'm choosing like, yeah, baby. Man, we increased the rents by $200 a month. I sold the property. Now, remember, we got it for 1.2. We put about 200 grand in it. Man, it sold for 2.1 million, and we netted $627,000, $643, $100. I would say, yeah. 627, baby. I mean, wouldn't you be happy to receive that, man? And we ain't put no money in that. We seized the opportunity, man. Seize the opportunity.
And it's only 15 months.
Yeah, it was only 15 months. How to find owner finance deals. Well, look for apartments that need updating with low rents. You know, that's one thing. You know, a lot of times people have property, they just don't want to deal with it. And if you could see like, hey, man, the rents are so low, especially, I don't care where you're at, unless you're like, you know, in a smaller subset city, but nobody should be paying $350, $450 in rent. So if somebody's paying that, man, you need to reach out and say, hey, you willing to sell? You willing to do anything? And how did you do it? Well, network with landlords at your local Rio, Facebook, or your BRRRR. All right, the B with 4 R's. Invest in apartment and you know, and apartment investing secrets Facebook group. Reach out to these people and see who wants to sell. I mean, we got leads. We had a deal, even though it fell apart. But I mean, I got a couple of sweet deals from our apartment investing. And then a lot of our students, they know what to look for, and they send us deals on a regular basis. All right. So that's how you find owner finance deals. Another great place to look for deals are, or especially owner finance, is those building code violations. You can send direct mail or even call to property owners to have code violations. You know, now, at least in Cincinnati. Now, back in the day, man, like, well, not even back in the day, but yeah, it's been a while. 5 years ago, man, we would buy these tax auction properties, these code violations, and we would get it, fix it up, and sell it. But now, certain cities, they really cramp down on that. So if you're not fixing it right away, they may, you know, try to fine you or anything like that. So what you want to do is immediately, you know, have a plan, fix it, or anything like that. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. How to find owner finance deals. Another way to find owner finance deals is look for apartments that need updating with low rent. So it's another combination. It could be just low rents. It could be another one that just need updating. That was a perfect. I shared one last week with Burr, where I knew the rents were like 350 to 400, and the units just needed to be updated, and we updated it. And man, we found some deals. We found some apartments. All right. Uh, so let's move on to the next one. Then there's private lenders.
Yeah, can I add
Oh,
something?
go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. So in terms of finding owner finance deals, you can actually do it online as well. So you can check apartments.com in your zip code, right? And then look at the pictures of these different apartments. It's time consuming, but that's how you dig up deals, especially in today's hot market. So the steps are you look under apartments.com, you look at like after looking at let's say 20 or 30 or 50 apartments, you will have an idea for that particular zip code what the going rate is in terms of the average rents for one bedrooms and two bedrooms and three bedrooms and four bedrooms, right? And then you will have a good idea of the general quality of the interior of the units. Are they generally updated or whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go through the list, then try to identify several properties where the rents are below market, below the average, right? So let's say the average rent for a one bedroom is $700, and all of a sudden you see some that are at $400 or $500, and then when you look at the interior pictures, I mean generally those properties that are mismanaged, they only have like one picture of the property. They don't have a lot of pictures. So and you can see, hey, the rents is only 400 per month, because their kitchen and bathroom are not updated.
That's
They're
right.
they're
That's
back
right.
in the 1940s or whatever, right? Then what you do then is you search public records, or there are tools that you can use, like um what's what well CoStar or whatever. But if you don't have the budget for that, you can search the apartments.com, like the address. You can check your county records, in turn as to who owns that property, and then you can go to I mean, typically for real estate, right, the owners of the property will be under an LLC, right? Then you may need to check with your Secretary of State in order to find like who owns the LLC, and then you can backtrack and use services like 411.com, whitepages.com, in order to find out the phone numbers of the people or the persons or the person who owns the LLC, which in turn owns the property, and then just give him a call. Hey, I saw your apartments, I mean, are you willing to sell your apartment, right? If it needs a lot of renovation or updating and they have low rents, chances are good if you call them and give them a good offer, they will likely sell, right? So, and especially, I mean, give them the price that they want, but position it such that you're giving them an owner finance deal. If you can get in with no money down or as little down as possible, but give them the price that they want, then there you go. That's how you get an owner finance deal. And it starts with apartments.com. You can literally go there right now and start looking for apartments. So, all right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. And then so also where to get private lenders. Oh, here's a deal we did with private lenders. My old favorite, Oak Harbor. It was a 48 unit. We bought it. It only had 16. It was 16% occupied. I guess that was what, 8 people? I don't know,
Yeah,
five,
six
six. I
people.
don't
Yeah,
know. I only had 6 people in it.
right.
We acquired it for 220,000. We renovated for 190,000. And man, it was sweet. I got 100. I got an agency to rent the entire building, all remaining, I don't know, 36 something units, right? And look, I got it all funded with two private lenders. I didn't have no bank involved. They bankrolled me the first one. I got a first mortgage for $385,000 at 11% interest, 2 points. And then the second mortgage I got later on for $18,000 at 8.5%. And I actually just really used that money to some CapEx expenses for renovating the roof. So, I mean, it just worked out great. And these are still investors that I work with on a regular. How did I meet them? Some people ask the question like, how do I meet these private investors? Well, my first mortgage holder was Jim. Unfortunately, Jim passed away. One of our guys, man, with Jim, man, at any given time, we had 2-3 million. Like we were spoiled. Like Jim was the guy, we'd call him and we're like, hey, Jim, I need some money. Don't worry about it. And he wired to us our account. So I didn't have to deal with anybody. But actually, we met Jim through one of our partners, Adam. He was working at a bank, and actually Nate, my other partner, he was actually doing deals with Adam's father. And so Jim was like, Adam was like, man, you should meet this guy. He wants to do real estate. He's doing the stock market. I think you guys would be a good fit. Next thing you know, he started doing deals, and then that was it. We started getting money. Now, my other lender or private investor was Kathy. Kathy came from a recommendation who I mentioned early in the podcast, my good friend, Vicky, you know, the small lady. We worked together. I invested her funds. I started with a little bit of money, her money. I ended up starting with, I don't know, 40 to 70,000 with her. Mm. She ended up introducing me to Kathy. Kathy ended up lending me $100,000 over a period of time. So, I mean, it just works, man. Like I said, treat other people how you want to be treated. Take care of your investors, and they'll begin to refer you to other people. I mean, that's how it really works, man. And just getting out there and sharing your information, all right, like I'm doing now. All right. Now, some of the biggest sources of private money, you check this out. People's savings account. That's right, man. The U.S. This is the national number. U.S. savings deposits in December 2008 stood at $4.1 trillion. Now there's about $9.2 trillion in people's savings account. You see the growth in that? That's a 74% in just what, 10 years?
It's 100% in 10 years, actually.
Oh, that's 100%?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It grew 5 years, but 74% over 5 years.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. All through just, you know, those are people just savings. Look, man, as well, we'll get into accredited investors, but look, you only need one or two of them cats with them trillions. It ain't like you need all of them. You only need a couple. 9 trillion earning. And look, here's the thing. People got that money in the savings account and they ain't earning nothing. It's 0.5%. That's Amex. Goldman Sachs doing 0.5%. Alliant, I don't even know who the hell they are. They give them 0.55, so I'm just gonna go with them, and I don't even know who they are. So
yep, those are the best savings accounts.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Supposedly.
I mean, now look, in a minute, we're gonna follow like these other countries, and we're gonna be at a negative interest-bearing account. So you gotta put your money to work.
Yep.
So, look, well, we'll get in here. We'll explain. Look. How to get private lenders, network face-to-face. And look, man, even if you're in real estate, if you're not in real estate, it doesn't matter. You're going to do the same thing. My man Pillow, when you want to invest in people to do gigs, right? Maybe you want to start another business. I don't know, institution, tech company. I don't care what it is. You still are going to do the same thing. All right, different strategy, but still going to do the same thing. You got to network face-to-face or go online. You got to educate people on what you're doing and the benefits of real estate and show that you can get high returns. Like, look, you do some real estate deals with us, you're going to make 6 to 12% annual on your money. That's just kind of the standard. I'm not saying that's the final, but you'll make 6 to 12% and be passive versus I just showed you 0.5%, yeah, right? 0.55. All right. I'm gonna bump it a little bit. 0.6%. All right. At 0.6%, it will take you 120 years before your money doubles. Do you hear me? 120 years. If you leave it, man, you got to do something. Or you can get 6% and it will only take you 12 years. But the way we do it, like if you make 12%, then man, in 6 years you can double.
Right? Exactly.
But if you get with the right group, you can double your money every 5 years. That's great. Now that's when you're building wealth
Mhm.
and you're not doing it with your own time. So
Yep.
not only you building financial wealth, you're building wealth of time. And that's the key, man. Because we want to spend time with the babies, whether it's the wife, whether it's the kids, whether it's the girlfriend, whether I don't even want to go into your extracurriculars, but you know, you got to spend time. You got to spend time with them, right? All right. So look, man, how safe? How can it be safe? Get a first mortgage lien. So the things that we did now, it gets a little sophisticated, but what we do is when we first started, people want to invest. We gave them a first mortgage on the property, right? They literally, the people acted as a bank, just like how you pay a mortgage on the house you live in. You do the same on investment property. Now, when you get into bigger deals, they get into LLCs and what we call syndications.
We'll talk
get
about
into
that.
that.
Yeah,
We're going to get into that a little
exactly.
later. That's a different ballgame. But for guys that are just doing a single family, 4-family, or you're doing a smaller one, you just give them a first mortgage. All right.
Yeah. So just like to add there. So, like that's the number one thing with savers, right? They're very risk averse. They don't want to lose money, right? But if you show them that, hey, you know what? Actually, if you're saving money, you're losing money, isn't it? Because you're earning, let's say 0.6%, but inflation is 3%. And there are news right now that says, or indication because of all the money printing of the feds, right? That inflation will probably be even higher, right?
That's right.
So if you're only earning 0.6% on your money, and let's say inflation is 6%, then you're going to lose 5.4% of the buying power of your money today. And it gets compounded over
Hey, give
time.
me that womp,
right?
womp.
So,
Yeah, that's
so,
what their bank accounts are doing. Hey, give it to them again. What them bank accounts sound like? That old Charlie Brown.
right. That's why Robert Kiyosaki calls savers losers, right? So when you approach a saver, always emphasize that you know what, the greatest risk is actually losing money by saving it with the banks, right? Why not you become the bank? All right. And then they will be like, what do you mean? I can become the bank? Yeah, you can become the bank, right? So, this is exactly what banks do. They take your money, they give you 0.6% or 0.5% or 0.1%, right? And then they invest it in a deal, let's say on a first mortgage on a property, and they make two and a half, 3%. I mean, that's if you think about that, right? The profit of the bank, right? It's like 5 times on the money that you give them, right? Because they're only paying you like 0.5% and they're making 3%. So that's actually 6 times, right? So, when you approach people who are savers and they are very risk averse, tell them, they are actually taking more risk by keeping their money with the banks. And then you position it like, hey, I will give you a first mortgage lien on the property. So if I screw up, then actually you'll make more money, right? Because the way that deal that Mike did, the Oak Harbor, right, Mike? So you're all in for what 220 purchase price, 190 for the acquisition. You're all in for like 410,000, right? And that property, when you do the math, right? I think the pro forma on that one is at least $1 million, right?
That's right.
So
You netted $1 million.
Yeah, and actually your actual sales price is more than that. So if you position it like that, look, I'll give you a first mortgage on this property. It will be worth $1 million, right? But you lend me 400,000. That's a 40% loan to value. If I screw up, right, then you get a $1 million asset for only $400,000. So
Sweet deal.
so it is a sweet deal. So that is therefore safer for you, right? So if you position it like that, like there's no way for your private lender to lose, then you will never run out of private lenders, because private lenders will be like, hey, here's my money, because if you screw up, I actually make more money. if you don't screw up, I actually, make money, right? And in either case, I make more money than the money that I make from the banks, right? So that's how you get private lenders. So, all right, Mike.
Oh, hit my mute. Yeah. So no, everybody's like, "Who's that talking?" That is Instagram was like, "Who talking over there? That don't sound like Mike."
Yeah, that's
Like, what the hell?
I'm not
Mike,
Mike.
Mike has switched to the.
Like an Asian voice.
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna take questions here in a second, okay? Matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and take some questions because what time we're supposed to do 10, 12:40?
Yeah, talk to Tim first,
We
and then
got,
we can
we
take
got a
questions.
second. We got a second. Tim,
Okay.
we on schedule. Tim, we got Tim there.
You want to mention this?
Oh, yeah. So we're going to do a couple of questions, then we're going to go interview Tim. So look, man, if you need mentoring or learn how to raise private capital, let's talk on the phone. Send me 2 or 3 days, times, dates that work for you. Mike at NassauInvest.com. That's Mike at NassauInvest.com. Just email me and we'll set up a time for you to talk, man. We're gonna take a couple of questions here. But look, hey, everybody give it up for Wyndham, man. Give me my cheer for Wyndham, man. You always my man. He always join in. He always help dropping knowledge and gems for us, man. So what I was gonna tell you? Hey, Wyn, just quick question. Where do you go when you need help or questions about real estate? Where do you go? Hey, look, I'll tell you where you go. You go buy the book From Broke to Millions. All right, go to FromBrokeToMillions.com, and at that book, man, they'll share all the knowledge and how you can acquire over 1,000 apartment units. So FromBrokeToMillions.com, buy the book and learn all about real estate.
Nice. I love it.
That wasn't a plug either. That wasn't a plug. That wasn't a plug. Hey man, let's take a question. So somebody, oh man, they jump. Okay, hold on. Let's see if Naked Truth here. Let's see what they want here. Go live with Naked Truth. Do we do this? Anyone can watch it.
I don't think that's something you would want to go live with.
Naked Truth. Don't go live with Naked Truth. Just that's a lot of nakedness. Okay, Miss M6. Oh, JoJo. Wait a minute. Okay, dude is wise, man. Thank you, JoJo. Oh,
okay, I have a question here, Mike.
Okay, hold on. How to start out financially? Hold on. How to start out financially? Will you be doing any seminars anytime soon? Yeah, we're doing a seminar. We're doing one right now, man. But yeah, no, we got the Big Deal Funding Summit.
Yep.
That'll happen. I don't know, May, June, July. We're just waiting on to find out what we got with COVID. But if not, we'll do it all online as well.
Yep.
How do you start out financially if you don't have any money? I guess that's the question. Man, you got to work on your credit, right? You got your credit cards you can use. You may have a life insurance policy you could use where you got equity. You may have friends or family that have some cash. But the biggest thing, get educated. Get educated, because if everybody knows, if people believe you know what you're talking about, they will join you and participate. All right. So that's one. Nate, Wyn, you got some questions?
Yeah, there's a question here from Zoom. Is there a way to find a list of high net worth individuals to mail them letters and potentially cold call them?
I am sure there is, but I don't know where that is.
Well,
because they have with the technology, when you start, let's say Facebook or LinkedIn or Google, they have what they call these targets, and you can implement them in your search with what they call like a pixel.
Yeah.
Like in these click funnels and these advertisement, and it will actually target these type of people based on what they watch, what they groups they're in, things like that. And from there, you can build up on that. The only one issue is if you're doing it through Facebook, man, they'll kick you out so quick, right? They'll like
Yeah, like ban you or whatever. or
ban
your
you and
account.
readjust.
Yeah.
And so what happens, all that work you put in will get erased. That a logarithm that's tied to your
Mhm.
pixel, to your funnel, that gets erased. So
Yeah, So
yeah.
let me answer that too, Mike.
yeah,
So
go ahead.
yes, you can actually find a list of high net worth individuals to mail them letters. You can contact any list provider. You can go to listsource.com. And then, and actually, Mike is right. You can actually also target them on Facebook, like certain income level.
Instagram, LinkedIn too.
Yeah, you can target them on Google. You can do a Google pay per click and so on. But the reality is, um, you know, private lenders or these high net worth individuals, they really do business based on people they trust. So I'm not discouraging you to not to do that, right? You can definitely go ahead and do that. But like Mike, if someone approach you, call you, hey, I have this deal. Can you invest $1 million? It's like, get out of here, right? Like, well,
Yeah.
that's not going to be a pleasant conversation.
But
But definitely you can if you want to.
But what you do is a soft sell, like
Mhm.
as we talk about taking them from a cold to warm market.
Right.
Uh, you can send them content, right? That shares real estate and sharing your success, and as
Mhm.
they continue to read about you, they eventually, want to learn more about you, and so they'll respond to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Who else we got here?
No, I think we should interview Tim now.
All right, hold on. Let's do one.
There's one more.
Where's
This
this
one says, what was the extent of the renovations for that project? The project you were talking
Oh,
about.
the multi-million.
Yeah.
So
So which
we
project? is that?
Oak Harbor. We
Okay.
had, well, there's two of them, but I'll just say Oak Harbor. I'll tell them about both of them. Oak Harbor was the 48 units where we only had like 16% occupancy. Really, we just did a lot of paint, replaced carpet, put in new flooring, didn't replace any windows, didn't have to update the bathrooms, although we did update some vanities and toilets. Now, I wish I would have went in and replaced the entire kitchens,
Right.
but we were being cheap. And what happens, when you in the midst of doing that stuff, you want to take care of that in advance. Because we was like, oh man, these work out. But like some of the bottom shelves were kind of rotted out and we just replaced them. But really what happened is if they rotted out, water had been leaking somewhere. So a lot of times you just want to rip that stuff out, especially if you plan on keeping it for a while. And we did. And, they had nozzles that were bad and water lines where, it needed not a nipple, but a spring or, some
Mhm.
screws or, whatever it is. And we never replaced them. They were still leaking. And so what happens, it ends up you doing it while you have a tenant. And now next thing you know, you're ripping that out and all things go wrong and you can't get to it. And next thing you know, you got a tenant that and it happens, may have they're out of a sink for like 3 days, right? Imagine that happening. Like for whatever reason, yeah, you should be able to replace it, but then you get into it like, oh man, the plumbing line was bad. So now you got to go in and replace the plumbing line. Then you got to do this. Then you got drywall. Then you got to put the cap. Like, man, it just takes time, man. So, when you can do it right the first time. I got another one. What was your first deal and how did you finance it? My first deal. Oh, my very first deal was a 2-family.
Duplex, yeah.
I bought a 2-family and I got owner financed. I was working 2-3 jobs. I saved up enough cash. The guy wanted 3,000 down. I was like, man, I ain't got that. Plus I got a rehab upstairs. So what I worked out was like, look, I'll give you 1,000 down. And then for the next 2 months, I'll pay you an additional 1,000 to get him to that 3,000. He was like, cool. But 30 days after this first down payment, I'm going to want my mortgage payment paid every month with 700. So for the first 3 months, well, the second and third month, I paid $1,700 a month. I paid the down payment down.
Plus
I paid the mortgage, but by the second month, I already went upstairs, had renovated the second floor for 500, $500 it cost me. And then I rented it for 500. Then I had my sister living with me as what we call house hacking. And I was getting $700 a month. So really I was able to pay it off, and that was it, man. That was my first deal. So I was living rent, mother sucking free. All right. Hey man, let's get on my man Tim Vest. We got Tim. Bring Tim in this joint, man. Everybody get up for Tim. Can we get a round of applause for Tim?
And they said he has a better picture.
Tim, they want a better picture of you already. They cool.
Yeah.
What's up, brother? How you been, man?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? How you doing?
It's all good. Now, can I see Tim? Do I gotta look at this?
Oh, you want to do a video?
It don't matter, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have it?
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
Got anything to get that picture off the screen, please?
Well, as long as we get the picture to have you move lips, man, that'd be great. All right. Oh, people on Instagram like, who's Tim? Let me see if I can show them that. Let's see here. Can they see? Whatever. It doesn't matter. You only need my beautiful self here. You only see mine. Tim, what's up, man? Thanks for joining me, man. Look, man, tell everybody about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? Your background, real estate experience. Let the people know. Let the people know.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mike. So I'm Tim Vest. I'm actually from around Charlotte, North Carolina, a little north of there. North Carolina my whole life. So this is kind of where I've been, what I know really well. North South Carolina, that's kind of my stomping grounds. What happened there?
North Carolina, stomping grounds. Yeah. And then have you been doing real estate before?
Yeah. So I got a little bit of a background in real estate. Actually started in it about 2006. I got this bug to try something more than just the technology career I was in. So I actually got a couple of partners and started looking into land deals. We started partnering up with developers and going in on raw land and leveraging our own cash and our credit to help developers put in the infrastructure they need to take raw land and bring it to the market for the end user buyer. Started doing that. That went really, really well for a few years. And then 2009 hit, and then it did not do well at all. In fact, my developer connections all went bankrupt, every single one of them.
Wow. And that was because of the Great Recession, right?
Yeah, because of the Great Recession, the real estate market crash, that really hit, new developments, huge housing inventory. They sure as hell didn't need new developments going on, right? So my developer friends went bankrupt and left me and my partners with 10 acres of land sitting in the middle of the North Carolina mountain somewhere, with the closest road 3 miles away. Yeah. So and then the banks came calling. We had $500,000 loans on properties that were worth 10, 15 grand, and that. So we'll move on from that. That was a rough time. Took a few years to clean that up and, look for the next place we wanted to go. So I ended up getting into fix and flips, single family rentals. Quickly figured out that I'd made a second job for myself that didn't scale very well, and not what I was looking for. So that's just not where I wanted to go. So sold off those, and around 2017, 2018, I started to look into where I wanted to go next, which ended up being multifamily. Partly through your influence, Mike. You mentioned Bigger Pockets earlier, man. I used to see you over there on Bigger Pockets talking about multifamily and why it was so much better than single family and all this other stuff. And I said, you piqued my interest, so I started looking around, and that's where I landed. Again, a big influence. Something you mentioned reading your book earlier. Connecting over on Bigger Pockets, and you planted a seed, and that's where I started to look. And around 2018, I started to focus on multifamily. So here I am.
Right, and then you just closed on a deal, or about to close. Is that right?
Yeah, we just landed partnership deal on a property down in Mobile, Alabama, 42 unit. Really looking forward to seeing what we can do with that one. Got some great partners, boots on the ground there that really excited about that one.
You got it. Now, for those you don't know, Tim Vest, he's a mastermind member of our group, and now Tim kind of understand. He did mention he actually ran a successful clothing line, and you actually sold that. Is that right?
That's right. So I had a clothing business called Ravici, and another example
that sound fly, man. Did you get that new Ravici? You get that new Ravici?
You know how many people used to be, what does that mean? That's awesome clothing name was taken, so we went with Ravici. That went well, but that's an example of pivoting in business as well. We started off with a focus on coming with custom apparel for the athletic market, and we ended up doing private labeling for businesses in the athletic market.
Nice.
So a little bit of a pivot there. Did well. Ended up landing a pretty big customer, and after my best year, I decided to exit at a good time and then sell off the business.
All right. Now, so you have some real estate experience, but you didn't have experience in raising private capital. Why do you think that was?
Quite honestly, Mike, something you preach, and I'll just say it outright. It was my mindset. 100% mindset. I limited myself to what I felt comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
I had credit. I had some cash. I knew I could leverage those.
Mm-hmm.
I liked doing deals with developers. I did not like cold calling people. I don't like talk. I'm an introvert, man. I do not like sitting down with people talking about raising money. I don't like it at all. So I limited myself. I focused on this part of real estate that I could do with the resources I had at my disposal at that time.
That's right.
Without realizing that I truly had other resources at my disposal. I just wasn't allowing myself to leverage them, honestly, in the last year and a half, 2 years, that's one of the biggest changes that I've had, is allowing myself to go after things where I wasn't comfortable before, and realizing that it's a mindset and just a comfort thing, pushing myself beyond what I'm just comfy with.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's amazing what happens with people that stay in their comfort zone, man. I mean, it's understandable, right? Like in the comfort zone, that's like being in your home. Like you ain't fussing. Life is good. You can just walk to the fridge, and everything's there you want. You can go to the garage and roll out in your car. Like I can call my friends and talk to them, and that's it. I don't have to go outside. But in actuality, in that comfort zone, you're not learning anything, really.
Yeah. And the truth.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the truth is, man, like it really wasn't that uncomfortable. Like after I started doing it a couple of times, I realized these are just conversations. These are, it's just a conversation, and it's really not that uncomfortable because it's not like I'm walking into somebody's business going, "Hey, will you give me $100,000?" That's not how it goes. That's not how the conversation goes. I have yet to land any investor by asking that question. They just, like you said earlier, they just start off as just casual conversations. I've landed more through casual conversation than anything else.
Yeah, no, it's weird, man. You got to change the mindset. Walk like everything I've done has been really uncomfortable, but because of that, I grow. I move to other levels of the game. Like I remember when I was like, man, I want to do hotels. Well, what do you know about it? Nothing. And so I had to start having conversations with people that did hotels. And I had to take information I learned from taking some classes and share with them. And only because I was speaking in the same language, mathematically, that people were talking and willing to, share and talk about different things. But yeah, I get it, man. And man, I mean, you got to realize, man, I'm looking at 100-page, 200-page contracts, syndication documents, and I'm telling everybody to sign it. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's easy to say.
Yeah.
No, I get it, man. They just, as you're growing up, like, hey, I need $1 million. Give it to me.
Yeah. That, I mean, and so if you don't mind, like, I'll give you an example of somebody I talked to 2 weeks ago. Through the LinkedIn challenges that we do, getting on LinkedIn and, raising a presence there, just having a presence on LinkedIn has changed a lot of things for me.
Right.
And it's not about going on there and like asking people for money or stuff. It's just, showing you have interest in the space. And I've had people reach out to me because of that, and so I had an investor reach out to me, and he was like, I just want to talk. And we talked. We literally spent an hour on the phone talking about he and his wife's move from New York down to the Carolinas. They want to move down here. We talked about that for 50 minutes, probably, of the 1 hour. We spent maybe 2 or 3 minutes talking about what we do with real estate, what we do with investing, what we can offer. And he literally last night, he sent me an email saying, hey, I got $75,000. I'm ready to put into something. Let's go. And it was one phone call, 1 hour, where we spent most of it just talking about his relocation. It's just conversation.
Yeah, man. Just and look, Tim is an introvert like myself. I know you can't tell because I'm over here talking all the time and doing videos, and I am a lively person, but I don't like talking to people. I really don't. I know you can't tell, but that's what it takes, man. Just sharing your story and learning about. And look, one of the big things about raising private capital, it's not about you. I need to tell you that one more time. It's not about you. It's all about you, them, and what you can do for that private lender. Just listening to them, making sure they're heard. I've really, really learned that, especially as being a community council president of my little community here in Cincinnati. One of 53 or 52 communities. I sat down. A lot of people realize that whatever they say probably won't get implemented. But as long as you listen and confirmed and affirmed that they were heard, that will go a long way. And that goes a long way in all relationships. And that's why us introverts are pretty good. Now, we may not say shit, but we good listeners. And people are very excited. Matter of fact, I attract a lot of people that talk a lot. They be like, man, how do you have all these friends? And they all talk. Because I'll never say nothing.
They like you because you listen.
So yeah, man. So Tim, you got the real estate. So what have you learned from me, our mastermind class, and how do you view raising private capital now? And what's some of your results?
So,
yeah, I mean, go ahead. You got it.
Yeah. So a couple of key things. I already mentioned mindset. That was like the first barrier, the first hurdle I had to get over, which Mike, I remember you and I was in the car, and you just had a conversation with me one day on the phone, and you were like, Tim, you just got to change your mindset, man. And that was like, I don't know, so simple, but that it like clicked. I was like, you know what? Mike's right. I need to change my mindset. So I worked on that for a little while, just, and the way I went about it was I would just force myself to have a conversation with somebody, to take a phone call.
Tim, let me tell you, you're worthy, brother. If ain't nobody tell you, you're deserving, my friend. All of y'all out there, man, y'all deserve everything. You deserve happiness. You deserve a great relationship, and you deserve these millions in your pocket, man. Hey, Tim, where do you go when you want to learn about investing in apartments? Don't even answer. I'll tell you, I go from broke to millions.com where I can get the book from Broke to Millions, where Mike Ely shares all the secrets about investing in real estate. That is not a plug. That is not a plug. No plugs around here, bro. All right, go ahead, Tim.
Well, and I know it sounds like I'm plugging you, man, but I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just being honest. Like you were one of the biggest reasons my mindset just kind of shifted over the last 6-7 months. And then, and then I thought back to like a time somebody didn't bring me something that I knew them really well, and they didn't bring me an opportunity they had, and now it's like kicking ass and doing well. And like, I'm annoyed. I'm like, why didn't you give me that opportunity? And I asked them one time, and they were like, because I didn't want to like beg my friends for money. And I'm like, dude, I'm a grown man, just give me the opportunity. I don't feel bad saying no. I'll say no if I don't want to do it, Yeah. But I remember that, right? Like, and it's like you're saying, you're bringing somebody an opportunity. If they don't want to do it, they can say no. And it's not like I'm begging somebody, and that's the hurdle I had to get over. Is I didn't want to be that guy begging someone.
That's right. That's right.
But the lessons I learned through like Broke to Millions, Mastermind, is leveraging LinkedIn, having these conversations. And then some of the conversations, like when Daniel comes in and he talks about how he talks to investors, it's not a question, he doesn't talk to investors about investing mostly. He just talks to them and listens. Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what I've kind of centered my approach around, is just, establishing a comfort level with people, and just being genuine with them. So that's kind of the biggest thing. And then leveraging my network. That's probably the third piece that, you've really taught me that's been a big influence. And, one of the biggest investors that I've connected with is all because I connected with a guy on LinkedIn through a shared tech background experience. And he just happened to be in the middle of a capital raise for his technology company and was like, hey, I got this guy I want you to talk to. And he introduced me to him, and that ended up being, one of the guys you and I sat down and had a phone call with, and one of our bigger potential investors. And that all came through just LinkedIn, being willing to have a conversation with somebody, and then going from there, leveraging my network.
Man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. Hey, man, Tim, that's our time with you today, but we still gonna keep this show going. Thanks so much for sharing. Man,
hey, thanks,
I guess
Mike.
I'm gonna see you tomorrow, brother. And,
yeah.
And we gotta
Thanks,
get to Tampa, man. Go visit our guy Sterling. Gotta get Sterling.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Why did you mention the name? Anyway.
Get that money, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
$100 million.
And why you say it like that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
$100 million.
$100
Like,
million.
you said that like, what was that show?
I know what's this guy?
They were like $1 billion.
Dr. Evil.
$100 million.
No, it's actually 100. What do you want? $100 billion. All right.
Hey, thanks, Tim. Hey, we're gonna take over here to Instagram. Somebody, I'm gonna see how this works, man. Go live. Waiting.
What happened?
She gone. Gonna cancel waiting, or he or she. Did we lose everything? No. Okay. All right.
Waiting on.
Okay.
Oh, you want to
I
talk
was
to somebody?
accepting that. Yeah.
Instagram.
Are they
Okay.
coming?
All right.
Somebody, maybe. We're waiting.
Well,
If not, we'll go on to the next one. Slowing my camera down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not there. Understandable because they weren't there. All right, we're doing district. Oh, we got District 78. Got young Erica out here. What's up with it?
all right, part 2.
Yeah, no questions. Marcus, you over there? You
I mean,
want?
there are questions, but you wanna?
Well, we'll take one.
Okay.
We in question audience mode right now. Or I broke away from that. Is that what happened? All those guys. Oh, no, Marcus he's gonna come up here, and we're gonna see what Marcus got to say.
On Clubhouse.
Yeah, we got Marcus on Clubhouse. We're everywhere. We're Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook group, Apartment Investing Secrets. For those over there on Burr, BRRRR.
Invest.
Yeah, Invest. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the.
Marcus, what's up, man?
Hey, Mike, how are you, bro?
It's pretty good, man. How y'all guys doing, man?
We're good, man. We're good. I just wanted to echo the statement that was made. It really is a mindset shift. And when you have someone like you that is willing to give the game out because you want to see other people succeed, it's just a matter of paying attention, following that lead, and having the courage to actually apply it. I mean, little things that we've discussed, little things that you've suggested, advice you've given me has already made a difference in me starting to develop my real estate business. What I'm calling my real estate business, kind of speaking it into fruition.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I got people inboxing me, colleagues inboxing me, or calling me directly. People that I've never talked to, but they're following me on places like LinkedIn, and they're interested in the amount of content I'm putting out about real estate. And they want to know, hey, what are you doing in real estate? What are you interested in? And I'm telling them, and I'm saying, hey, this is my goal. By the end of 2022, I want to have 200 doors.
That's right.
200 doors that I have outright. And they're like, man, that's kind of ambitious. I'm like, yeah. And guess what? I also know a guy buying hotels up. So if you're interested in doing that, I got a guy that can help you get into the hotel business. So
Booyah.
shifting the mindset is a real thing. And I appreciate what you're doing for people, man. Like your story is so inspiring in its own right, but you're not stopping there. You're at the top of the mountain, man, and you're still pulling people up. So much respect.
That's what we do, man. Hey, thanks so much, Marcus, man. Marcus also, he's joined us lately and he's learning a lot, man. He's got a tight crew and just a lot of great opportunities we have here. So hold on, we got a question. How does one who don't have much startup capital break into real estate? Seems like wholesaling is the standard response.
Not really.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
It's up to you. But
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. Wholesaling does get you some cash fast, right?
Right.
Especially if you're in some other areas, but not necessarily. Like I got students that they actually started off in real estate and then something happened, right? And then they learned the techniques. They understood the communication, how to attract private investors. And Annie, single mom,
in
2
Canada,
kids in Canada.
Only bought one property and it turned out to be a nightmare property.
Yeah, bought a 2-family. It fell apart on it, right?
Yep.
She got really aggressive. Like, I love Annie, but she got on my damn nerves.
And I think she's listening right now.
Yeah, she probably is, though. I'm just playing. No, Annie, my girl, seriously. But Annie was really consistent, really aggressive. And she dug in, day out, always asking questions, always trying, always doing it over and over again. She made a commitment. And just last week or 2 weeks ago, she found somebody with $3 million?
Yeah, $3.5 million.
Found an investor $3.5 million. So what can you do with $3.5 million? A lot.
A lot, yep.
I mean, you know, if you stay in the Midwest, I mean, $3.5 million will buy you a really nice 100 unit or more.
Probably. Not in Cincinnati though.
Well, maybe not now, but originally, like, I mean, you're gonna get you something nice. You get you something nice. I mean, $3.5 million, you good. And now you're only dealing with one investor.
Right.
Like, man, my students are killing it, man. They're killing it.
Yep. Yeah, the important thing really is getting the education, right?
Yeah, no, man.
Because there are techniques where you don't need money. Like Mike just showed you owner finance deal on a 41 unit apartment building, right? I mean, I wholesale deals as well, but you know, the real money with real estate, you make that through holding onto properties.
Yeah, that's where you build for real.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
So if you can do that, you know, together with wholesaling, do that, right? But you don't have to, you know, guys, real estate investing is not like going to school where you have to go to elementary school first, and then high school, and then college, right? like most people consider apartment buildings as college level, but really, I mean, as Mike said, we have students who go from duplex to like, hey, I have 3.5 million. I can actually invest in apartments.
Yeah,
right?
really, the only reason I did a 2-family starting off, because that's all I know. That's all I read about that.
Mhm.
And I grew up in a surrounding where nobody was doing that. But I mean, no matter what you do, it's just getting an education.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna do April, and then we're gonna come to you, Walt. Is it better to send letters or call multifamily owners? Man, do it all. Harass them. Let's see. Look, it always changes when you start working it. It's not harassment. It's being persistent and consistent, right?
Mhm.
Harass them. All right, I gotta give my
Yeah,
lady
yeah.
straight. Now, every day, send them a letter, and they get to see it. Then call, leave a message, reach out to their assistant or property manager. Say, hey, leave them a message, and put a smiley face on it. Right? They may return your call. I mean, do whatever. I mean, seriously, if somebody takes a message for you and ain't leaving it for the owner, say, hey, put a smiley face on that picture, right? Because if somebody they gonna be like, who the hell is this with the smiley face? I'll just call them. They sound really nice, all right? So do it all. I mean, sometimes you'll get lucky they respond on the first time. Sometimes, man, it may take 7, 10, 12, 15 calls.
And sometimes it can take 6, 12, 18
My-
months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our partners, Matt,
Uh-huh.
we reached out. He'd been reaching out to a guy for 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
and they finally sold him the portfolio, and we killed it.
Oh, is that the one that you just did recently?
Not that one,
but the one prior,
to that,
the
yeah.
one, okay.
where we ended
Cool.
up selling a wholesale at a few.
hmm And keeping the 120
Yeah,
units.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool.
So that's it.
right.
Walt, what you got over there, buddy?
I got Tiffany Wilson in the Zoom. She said, do you teach structured partnerships, whether with private lenders or a team of people?
Hey, first of all, man, your microphone sounds really good.
Why thank you.
That really sounds good over there, man. How come mine don't sound like that?
Because it's my voice.
Oh, okay.
It's not the mic. It's not the mic.
It's not the microphone.
Oh, so I'm in love with your voice. That gets a little weird. It gets a little weird. Okay.
What's the
So-
question
She
again?
asked two
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
All right. Read that question again. Now we're.
Do you teach how to structure partnerships with private lenders or a team?
Yeah. No. Without a doubt,
Yeah, it's part of the master class.
Yeah, in our class, our master class, and our mastermind group, our master class called Big Deal Hockey. Yes, we show you how people structure deals, and there's kind of a standard, and then there's not standard, but it's all based on your skill set and who really is controlling the money. So, in any deal, there can be different structures. Now, if you get into syndication is whenever you're raising money for a deal from multiple people. But typically, a syndication is really not really a syndication until you start raising $1 million. I mean, that's not a written rule, but typically when people structure a deal and they raise in over $500 million, they do what they call a 70-30 split. And 70 goes to the investor and 30 goes to the sponsor, the deal maker. And that's all right. I mean, but you doing all the work, but you can take all these different fees in addition. But I typically flip-flop. We do 70-30, 70 our way, and then I give the investor a 6% pref or maybe a 9% pref. So one of the big things is when you structure it, I'm gonna give you this tidbit, is you want to know their goal. And if they're coming to you saying, look, because the typical investment, people want to make at least 8 to 10% of their cash on cash with their money. And then 2x it, equity multiple, meaning they double their money within a 5-year period. That's it. So if you can accomplish that, only giving away 30% of the deal, then just do that. Now, yes, people will push back because they're like, man, I've been in syndications and we don't structure like that. Well, and actually you still can structure the 70-30, but then you get into what they call a waterfall, meaning if you like I said, they want to hit 8 to 10% cash on cash annually on their money. So let's say in that first year you make them 12%. Well, then if you make them 12% instead of doing 70-30, you didn't get promoted and we do a 60-40 or a 50-50, meaning you still to get more of the pot, right? So those are waterfall. That gets a little different. I mean, it's simple.
Complicated. Yeah.
It's simple, but it gets complicated. So I won't go into that, but that's really it. What's up, bro? That's SG 145. What's happening to you, man?
Tiffany has another question.
Tiffany, what's going on?
All right. So the other one is, do you also teach about investing out of state or finding a good property manager?
Yeah, we touch on all of that.
We have a property management module in the masterclass.
Yeah, all in that big deal hacking. We talk about that. I don't think we talked that much about it from broke to millions, but I mean, the key in investing out of state or doing any deals out of state is number one, knowledge, because yes, you can find somebody to manage for you, but if you don't understand what they're doing, they can charge you anything.
Yep.
Right. So you got to kind of understand your expenses and what you got.
Especially renovation.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what those costs are, man, replacing a toilet, I can tell you replacing a toilet should cost you about, if you just paid anybody, about $250, right? But if you got somebody on the clock, it's gonna be cheaper. But you can buy a toilet for $100, right? And then it should take somebody 2-3 hours to replace it because they got to put the glaze in, like they got to pull the little glaze bowl at the bottom. They got to pull the toilet up. They got to drop the toilet in. The guts should be together. They got to screw it back together. They got to run to the store. So that should take them 2 to 3 hours to do. And if you're paying somebody, that's like $20, $25 an hour. That's $75 plus the toilet. That was $175 plus some gas money. That puts you at $200. But if you're getting a nicer toilet, which would probably be about $150, $175. So like my point is you got to kind of understand those numbers because somebody like, man, I'm going to charge you $500 or $600 to put a toilet.
On Nate.
Oh, Nate. Yeah, you already know, man.
Nate and his toilet speech.
Yeah, Nate to go all day with them toilets, man. When stacking, what is the best criteria to identify motivated sellers, loan about to expire, pre-foreclosure? I don't know what stacking means, but
When stalking?
stacking. I don't know. I don't think that's what this is. April. But anyway, what's the best criteria to identify motivated sellers? I mean, well, I'll let you answer that. What do you think?
Okay.
I,
If they when you talk to them, okay, here's an
hey,
experience.
when you talk to them, be like, help!
Yeah, here's an experience that I have. So I have my marketing out, right? And then a motivated seller called me, and when I asked her actually, so what do you want for the property? And she said, for what I owe on it, And I said, so when do you want to do this? Well, right now. That is a motivated seller. So that's the kind of conversation you want to have. If they're like, oh, make me an offer and I'll see, then that's not a motivated seller. But the point is you can get motivated sellers or attract them by putting out marketing, let's say for people who have code violations, for example, that has been like really, really good, right? Properties that are in the condemned list, right? But sometimes they're condemned not really because it is structurally a problem, right?
Yeah.
They just didn't pay the fines or whatever. So, you can find really good deals out there and attract those motivated sellers.
Okay.
So.
All right, man. We are going to move on. Let me see. We feel there is a gap between those of us who have resources to invest and those have but no resources. Now, I get it, man. That's OB1 Rep 919. Hey, man, like I said, man, I didn't grow up around money, man. I mean, I didn't grow up. Wendell didn't grow up. Matter of fact, Wendell mastered the game before us, man.
attracting private
attract
money.
investor,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think one of his things with Wendell was his asset. I mean, he was really focused, consistent, very diligent. Uh, 6, 7 years ago, I don't think those would be all the words that would use to describe me. I mean, I am consistent. I am probably not diligent. That was probably one of my weak. I am consistent. Like, hey, where we at? How we do this? Like, but it was personality, I think, with me and actually confidence and in myself. I tried not to use other people's money at the time. Well, that's not true, but I tried to do a lot of deals myself with my own money. But if I realized like it would only get me so far. So I had to go out and start raising money. All right, man, let's move on to the next section here. We're going to do part 2 of 4 sources of funding for deals. So we're going to talk more about syndication now. Part 2, syndication, how to attract private investors, syndication referrals. Look, here's the deal we did. It was a 91 unit out in Marymount. Look, the rents, these guys owned this for a long period of time. This was like a Class A area, but older property. And I would say, even though it was Class A, it was a Class B property. Class A area, but Class B property. And the rents were low. So we pushed the rents $300 to $500. They were below market. We pushed them rents. Like, there were tenants that were paying, I don't know, $900 for a 3-bedroom where they should have been paying $1,300, $1,400. I mean, look, just to give you, some of you are like, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Look, I'm going to give you one example. I just told you how I pushed the rents $300 to $500. Look, just imagine if you only push the rents by $50 a month, right? Push the rents $50 a month. Let's say you had 100 units at $50 a month. That's an extra $5,000 a month. 5,000 times 12, that's 60. 60 divided by, I think, a 7 cap or an 8 cap. That's like $750,000, $850,000 in value that you created. That's what that means. I just showed you at $50.
Yeah, 750,000.
Yeah. So
Increase in
look.
value. Yeah.
But let's say I increased it by $300. That's $3,600 a month, right? No, hold on. $300 times 100. That's $30,000 a month more in income times 12. That's $360,000 more in income per year divided by a 7 cap. We just created $5 million in value.
Cool.
That's why I love apartment buildings, baby. That's why I want to do syndications. All right. Look, we acquired it for 10.3. It needed only 1.5 million in renovations. We put $4 million into it. And now I will say,
4 million.
We raised 4 million. I'm sorry. We raised 4 million. And my partners kind of took lead on that. So they actually raised the capital on that one. We brought the deal and they raised the capital. See, sometimes you don't always have to lead. My partners, Matt and Steve, and they had talked to us like, man, we really want to get some deals. We want to get to 1,000 units. And, they was talking big game, and they was like, man, we got 8-10 million we can get our hands on. And I was like, yeah, whatever. All right. It's you got that's plenty. Yeah. I was like, man, we don't really want, we want to focus on hotels. It was like, look, man, I want to do it. So we put it together. We worked as a team. Nate handled construction. I found the deal. They managed it. They raised cash. It worked out great. It's all about your team. Like I always said, I said it last week, even Jesus Christ had the 12 disciples, baby, to spread the gospel. You got to spread the gospel of real estate, baby. All right. So, look, what is accredited investor versus non-accredited, right? Now, what's so great about having an accredited investor for non-accredited? Well, you can have non-accredited investors in your deal But working with accredited investors allows your deal to be easier, because if you have accredited investors and you have the right documentation and the PPM, you can actually publicly advertise to raise capital. Versus if you got non-accredited, legally you can't go out and just open like, hey, I'm raising money for this deal you want in. They got to have signed documents and things like that. All right. And so what's the difference between accredited and non-accredited? Accredited investor has $1 million net worth, or their individual income over the last 2 years exceeded 200,000, or jointly with the spouse is over 300,000. All right. So if somebody has $1 million net worth, or their income exceeds 200,000 by themselves, or over 300,000 with a spouse, that's an accredited investor. Now, a non-accredited investor is one who doesn't meet those criteria. Okay. All right. Now, how to persuade the private investors? Well, one, I explained it earlier. Number one, dig the well before you're thirsty, man. Don't wait till the last minute, all right, to get some money. It'll look ugly. Number two, don't talk about money the first time you meet them. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't call asking for money off the rip, man. You got to ease into it, man.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like proposing marriage on the first date.
Yeah, oh, damn, yeah, damn. If you want to ruin the date, I want to get married. That's shit. I do too. You know, y'all both really do want to get married, but if they brought that up on the first date,
Yep.
like you'd be like, you know what, I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to get married. Well, I am married. I don't want to get married. I'm just saying. I've got to clear it because I'm married. They'd be like, well, you said you want to get married. I'm not trying to get married. Okay. All right, and don't beg for money.
You don't want to do it again.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. Don't beg for money. Whatever you do, don't beg for money. And I know you need it, because I need it, but you don't beg for money. That is the biggest turnoff, because that scares them a little bit. All right. So how to persuade the investors? Look, number one, know your numbers. Right. If you know your numbers, man, you can win them. All right. And if they ask about the risk, talk about how you mitigated the plans. Like one thing I talk about numbers in my deal. Hold on, let me come back to that. Here's the 3 things you need to persuade. Let me restate this whole thing. The 3 things you need to persuade: know your numbers, like know the performer, know it back and forth so you can explain. But the big thing is what they get. Then look how you mitigate the risk, right? Like when I do hotel deals, I was like, look, this is where the market is now. This is where it should be. And then I did a conservative approach because of COVID. I'm like, look, I'm hoping I'm projecting the market will come back and even stronger than what it would in 5 years. But let's say we didn't get inflation. Let's say we didn't get all these different, let's say occupancy didn't come all the way back. Let's say it only came back to 85%. This is what our outlook looks like. And I share that. And so people see like, oh man, he really looks on the downside. And if the downside still looks good, we do it. And then look, know your syndication paperwork, because you're going to be inviting people to read a 200-page document. Now, you don't need to know everything, but you need to know enough and let the legal team handle the rest. Now, with all of this, even though these are the things you need to persuade, it's really only makes up 20% of the conversation. Can you believe that? All this right here, and you put these big, nice, you spend $15,000, $20,000 on a document. All right, you're gonna spend, and then depending on your lawyer, then you spend even more money with your financial analyst to put the executive summary and all that together, right? You got $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 in the document. Guess what? You really not gonna even talk about that document. I mean, don't get me wrong, somebody's gonna ask, but for the majority of them, they're gonna consult with a lawyer. They may have 1 or 2 questions, but they don't care. They want to know what you can do from him. And quite frankly, when you get into that syndication document, if you don't know no better, it's gonna scare the living crap out of you.
Yeah, when you read it's like, why will I invest? There's so many risks.
Yeah, like because when you get into these PPM, they have all these documents that talk about all the risk. Like, you know, you're entering into a risky investment. You're not, potentially you won't get a return. Blah, 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 blah. Like, there's no guarantee. And, you know, you'll be like, well, why would I want to do this deal? You know, so I will say, you know, that's another, you talking about mindset. I had to get over that. Like, you mean to tell me I got to tell these people I can't guarantee their money? No. Like, I mean, you're doing the same thing. Like mutual funds, do they guarantee you money? No. I mean, it is what it is. All right, next, syndication, social media. So this is a deal we're closing any day now. Literally, I may close tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. I don't know. But it's already there. But we got two Hyatts. We acquired 60% by infusing 1.6 million into the deal. We're all in for two hotels. This is exactly what this hotel looks like. $10 million. That's a sweet deal. We got 10 hotels. Two hotels basically at 5 million, a little over 5 million each at 10 million. So before I even got into math, I knew these type of hotels, even performing the way they are, I could sell for 6.5. So be it, you know, my worst case scenario, I sell it for 12, 13 million, and I'm all in for 11.6. I was like, I'll take that. And I only put $1 million into the deal. I'll take that risk. You know, that kind of reminds me of a deal that I look at the conservative side, like some of you may remember, but a couple of months ago, I did something about deal or no deal, and I found this nice development downtown. It was the middle of everything. I felt it was worth $2 million. And I had some documentation. Literally, they renovating the hotels right at wedging this property right in between. And so we could pick it up. It was 13,000 square feet. We picked up for $350. I was like, man, we're gonna wholesale it for all you people wholesaling, still wholesaling. And the upside was we potentially could have sold it for 600,000, 650,000. Worst case, I was like, man, we'll sell it for 350,000, you know, for what I got into it. And I didn't do any work. I just trashed it out. I put about 1,500, 2,500 in trash out and insurance and utilities. And well, I sold it. I didn't do any work. I ended up having a realtor to sell it for me because I wasn't able to do it by ourselves. And for $450, I ended up bringing back $408, and I still got a couple expenses. And so, long story short, I netted like $40,000. Was it worth it? I don't know. Like, hey, I'm not complaining, but back in the day, I remember I was hustling deals, and I was only making $500 to $1,000. I ain't gonna lie, man, because I changed my mindset and I changed my expectation. I was really expecting to make over 100,000, 150,000. I brought this check back for I brought 400,000 back, you know, but I only netted 40 grand. I was like, man, what the hell? What in the heezy is going on?
I would take that 40.
Yeah, I took that.
Give it to me and Walter, right?
Well, y'all take the 40,000 bonus check.
I need that right now.
Yeah, so hey.
Yeah, but the nice thing about these two Hyatt hotels, Mike, right, that some of the investors came from social media.
All of them.
All of them?
Except for one.
Cool.
Maybe two.
Okay.
Maybe two. But for the most part, all on social media. I met
Nice.
them all through social media. Let's go on to the next one and talk about it. So what you cannot say on social media, do not talk about need. Man, if I got to emphasize it anymore, don't talk about needing money. Plus, you can't do it. That's advertising. Now, if you created a PPM, the 506C, which that means you're only taking accredited investors, which I explained that, you can then raise money publicly and talk about it. All right. But if you don't have that filing, do not bring up money. Matter of fact, make a disclaimer that, you know, this is not a raise. And we put all these other things, consult your legal tax guidance report. You know, we say all these things. All right. In a party, again, just another thing. In a party, you don't ask a stranger the first time you meet, you know, you got any money? Hey, I got this $1 million deal. Can I get 400,000? You sound crazy, man. Crazy, man. Don't be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
Don't be crazy. So the same is true with social media, man. So how to track private investors through social media. I'm gonna let Win jump in on here. How to track private investors through social media. Win, go ahead, take it from here, brother.
All right. So one of my roles is to basically make Mike look good on social media by creating content and so on. But what we do, if you guys notice, all across all of my social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, the posts that we have revolve around what I call the 4E model. Okay, where we educate people, we engage his audience, we put out encouraging things out there, inspirational stories, motivational quotes, and from time to time we even entertain people.
We
So
do a little entertainment.
yeah,
A little bit, little
Mike
entertainment.
Mike can sometimes go crazy on this. on this
Crazy.
All right. So and the reason why you want to do that is you want to basically, you put yourself out there. People want to know your story, right? People want to know that you're a positive person, and people want to know that you know what you're doing. And therefore, educational posts that you put out there, you know, that positions you in the mind of your prospective investors that you are an expert. Now, some of you who are just beginning your real estate journey might ask, well, I'm just beginning. How can I be an expert, right? Well, believe it or not, a lot of people, like for example, Annie is a good example, right? She's not an expert by any means.
Nope.
And she even admits to people that she networked with on social media. In fact, she met that investor who can put up $3.5 million for her deals on Facebook. And the way she told us how she found that investor was that she just networked, you know, uh, and she answered questions.
She put that work in, man.
Yep, she put in that.
Annie,
that
and
work.
Annie
Yep.
ain't no question. She put that work in.
Yeah. So she put out good posts on her LinkedIn profile. She put out like links to articles about apartment investing, about hotel investing. She put out links on news articles about apartment investing, about the economy and so on. She put her own story there, and that made her likable, right? From the point of view of prospective investors, and that's why they contacted her, and eventually, she have this guy that has 3.5 million, and base that actually called her and said, you know what, I'd like to invest $3.5 million with you. So that's the kind of impact that you can get if you put out a lot of value out there, right? So the 4E model, the whole point is you provide a lot of value. And when you do that, people gravitate towards you. They like you, they trust you, because they kind of know your story from social media. And then by the time that they call you, it's more of like confirming what they saw, right? And when people call you, they're more likely to invest with you, especially if you know how to persuade them, right? Right, Mike? So like Tim Vest, as you probably heard earlier, he's very laid back, but he provided and he continues to provide a lot of value out there to his educational post. And even though, as you've seen, I mean, he's not an apartment investing expert by any means of the right, but he was able to attract a lot of investors. Actually,
That's right.
he guest posted on several podcast interviews, and he's not really an expert, right? And if I tell you how much money that big whale of an investor that Tim was able to attract through social media, most of you guys won't even believe it. I don't. Part of me like, man, how could Tim attract that big whale of an investor, right? $100 million is like easy for that guy, uh, and yet Tim is just like quite literally like just really starting out, like 7 months in the apartment investing game, so to speak. So, but that's the kind of people that you can attract if you put out a lot of value out there. So social media is the fastest way to raise private capital, but you got to do it the right way. And that is providing value again through the 4E model. So anything you want to add there?
No, man, I mean, boss. I ain't got to come in on that.
Okay.
Got that.
So, and you want to talk this? You want me to talk this?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, so among all the social media platforms, if there's only one that you can choose, right? If you have limited time, you have you have 2 jobs and 10 kids or whatever. Right? If you have very limited time,
Yeah,
work on LinkedIn.
that's right.
Because LinkedIn, you have professionals out there, right?
That's
And the
right.
average income of a LinkedIn member is like $90,000 per year.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's why Microsoft, bought LinkedIn, because you have a lot of people who make good
And
money.
they about that business, man. So
Yep.
handle your business, man. Because I'm a business man. Like,
All right. So, like, quite literally, we track our results. Like every 10 business days, we attract at least $1 million through LinkedIn. And I also found out lately that, Mike is being followed by, at least the last time I checked, 7 family offices.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
like,
dang.
because of the content that
Give me
we
that
put out
money.
there.
Give me that money. After you just said, don't ask on the first question. Give me that money.
Right. So,
Mike don't even have a clue who's following him.
but those, for those of you who don't know, family offices, guys, these are wealthy families. Like, there's like a cost of putting one up, but the whole point of a family office is to protect their long-term multi-generational wealth. And the cost of that is at least $1 million a year just to maintain a family office. So for you to have a family office, that means your assets under management is at least $100 million. And, for 7 of them to follow Mike on LinkedIn, that is saying something about the power of LinkedIn. And again, the power of putting out the right content
So
out
that
there.
don't say nothing about the power of me. Hey,
Well,
that's the power of LinkedIn, but I ain't got nothing to do with it. Thanks, Win. Maybe I should have talked about this myself.
no, but what you put out there, Michael, what you put out there on your LinkedIn is because of you, because of the deals that you do, So
Yeah, no, I got it. Hey, Sold by Aaron. Yes, from broketomillions.com, man. From broketomillions.com. That's where you can get the book, man. That's where it's from broketomillions.com. And you got the I'm Ashley Monique. Okay, I got it. I'm Ashley Monique. Okay.
hey, Mike, you want to talk about this real quick again?
Oh, yeah. Man, hey, so look, man, if you need mentoring or raising private capital, let's talk on the phone. Send me 2 or 3 dates and times that work for you at Mike@NassauInvest.com with an S. That's Mike, MIKE, at Nassau, NASSAUINVESTS.com. Email me, man. I'm easy. It's easy, baby. It's easy, baby. We learn all about real estate. You take the class, take a course, read the book. I don't care. Use it for your business. I mean, I'm here. Join our Facebook group, Apartment Investing Secrets. You ain't got to pay nothing.
Yep.
Hey, I don't care about the money. I want you to change your life, change your address, change your shoe, change that bank account. Put some more commas in it.
Yep.
What's that? 21 Savage comma, but I don't even know how that
It was
goes.
Future.
Oh, it's Future
It was
comma,
Future.
comma.
No.
Not comma, comedian. No, not wrong. Completely different.
That's Culture Club, ain't
Oh,
it?
that was Culture Club.
Was it?
Yeah, that
Oh,
was.
Yeah.
Comma.
All right.
What did you say? Comedian?
Chameleon.
Oh, chameleon.
Yeah, chameleon.
See, I feel like
We
that. Like,
come and go. We come and go.
yeah. That's like I feel like Madea. She always messing up the lyrics. Jesus in chapter 12. Done. And then comma, chameleon. And what is he saying? What is it? Chameleon?
Chameleon, yeah.
Oh, I was saying come and go. I don't know what I was saying. I forgot what I was.
We should do another video with you. We should do a video with you singing that song. Just come on, million.
Oh, there you go. Comma, million. Yes, son. Yeah. Hey, man, we're going to jump back.
A Q&A.
Q&A, man. Then
Yep.
we're gonna get out of here.
So David Pickett has a question on
And Yolanda, you
investing
just jumped
secrets.
in. Yolanda, we got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got multiple platforms. If you got a question, just raise your hand. But I'm gonna jump on Instagram.
Oh, here.
What they got?
Facebook, Apartment
Facebook?
Investing Secrets.
Apartment Investing
From
Secrets, what they
David
got?
Pickett.
David
Mike,
Pickett. What's up, Dave?
is there a maximum number of investors one can have in a deal? For example, let's say I needed to raise $300,000. Could I have 15 to 30 investors?
Man, you can
each
have
put
as
up?
many investors you want. Just understand, the more investors you got, the more people you got to deal with, the more headaches you got. All right, unless you pick the right people. But I promise you, you want to limit it. But if that's what you got to do to raise money, you can do it. Get $10,000 per person. I mean, if that's what you got to do, do it. All right. But I promise you, whoever on your first 2 or 3 deals, it may be like that, right?
Mhm.
You may not get the guy with, sitting on 500 or $1 million. But like, I promise you, if you get a guy, 30 people with 10 grand, I promise you, when you go to the next deal and you need 300 grand again, you ain't gonna need that many. Because 2 of them were like, hey man, I got 20, 30, 50, or 100, right?
Right.
So it scales that. And by the time you get the third deal, 1 or 2 people like, hey man, I'll just fund the deal. Oh, that's our food.
I think so.
Oh, stop what you doing. Get that grub, son. This was brought to you by Grubhub. No, I'm saying not a sponsor. Hey man, did any of y'all get snow out there? Okay, we got snow. Wind got stuck on the hill, man. I had to come over and get him, coach him. It's like, man. No, we got any questions? You got anything over there?
Yeah, I got one from Tyrone Williams.
Tyrone,
Won't
Tyrone, call Ty. Don't you call me Ty. Okay, go ahead.
There you go. Won't you have to reveal your investors at some point?
Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, you can, but when you put that GP LP together, that structure, there's going to be a document in there in the agreement that shows who invested and how much they put. Now, it don't necessarily, if they did it right, they have their address and everything, but it may be hidden behind the LLC or something like that. But yes, everybody will see what they put in. Now, if you the GP, the way the GP is written, you may not see if they put any money in, but that's an easy calculation. People do it differently. Now, when we do deals, and even though we the GP, general partner, when we put money in, we actually put it in on the LP side. So you will see, I don't know, one of our Mike Ely LLCs, right? Mike and Nate LLC, and they'll see that we put 50, 100, 200, 300, 500, whatever. They'll see that. But the GP, they don't even see that because that's a whole nother operating agreement. But I share it. Like, I don't really care. Like, this is what it is. And I tell people, I put upfront expenses. I got money at risk because any given time on a deal, especially hotels are expensive. At any given time, I could have 200 to 750,000 at risk, and not even know if I got a deal. Yeah, that's crazy, ain't it?
It is not.
But it is what it is. So that's why you be like, man, Mike be so calm and it'd be chaotic stuff, and Mike just be chilling. Yeah, I got bigger issues, man.
Yeah.
It's all perspective. I got 750 riding, and we gonna get paid.
Yep.
Now, even though I analyze it and I structure it so I can get it back, but you still got timelines because you get to a certain point, you locked in. So you got to make it. You got to make it happen. Who else we got? Anything else?
I got another one for you.
Yeah.
Best way in analyzing a market.
Who's asking this question?
This is Christopher H on Zoom. He
Christopher, what's up, man? Or
That's-
lady? Or man? Is
It's
that
Christopher.
Oh, Christopher. No, ain't nobody. Christy.
That would be.
Sorry, Christopher. That was pretty. I'm not. Hey, I'm smart in real estate, not in other shit. Okay.
All right. Best way in analyzing a market. What are the things to look for to know
Hey
if the
man,
market?
quit asking all these complicated questions.
Basic jobs.
Is
No, go ahead.
appreciating. That's
No,
what
what
he
what
said.
is-
What are the things to look for to know if the market is appreciating?
Oh, a lot of things like, he was saying you can study the economy,
Mhm.
the economics of the community. So our new basic jobs coming in, is the economic growth there? You know, are there new jobs coming?
Right.
Like so when I was doing a development in Cincinnati, here's a perfect example. I studied the radius for a 1 minute radius. No, I'm sorry,
1
1
mile.
mile, 3 mile, 5 mile. And then I actually did a 1 minute, 3 minute, and 5 minute drive time.
Mm.
And I analyzed the economics. I analyzed the household rental owners, the household
Income
owners, homeowners,
versus
the
renters.
versus, right? We did the income they have, basis on the disposable income. Well, that's kind of a formula you kind of put together. And I studied all that. And from that, I determined how much potential income is in that 1, 3, 5 mile radius. And you deduct for leakage. Leakage means money, although they're in that community, it actually exit out of the community. For example, Coreyville was where the project was and where the people live. But naturally, everybody ain't gonna spend all their money in Coreyville, right?
Mm.
They're gonna go downtown to go to a club, to go to a nice restaurant. They're gonna go way up north to go to a comedy club or a dinner or have a nice restaurant, right? They're not gonna spend all their money in that area. So you got to account for all the money that would leave out.
Mm.
But there's also jobs and then values, you know, schools. Now, even in apartment buildings, if you're in a good school district, majority of the time you can't go wrong buying in that neighborhood. Everybody now,
But sometimes those neighborhoods are not growing too, right?
that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Like
true. That's true.
Loveland is a good school
But
district, but it's not growing.
it
as
ain't really
much.
growing, but the values are steady.
Right.
It's not a high demand area to live in, but I'll buy that quicker. Well, I can't say that because I would probably choose Avondale, which is
Growing.
a very fast growing. Like,
Mhm.
man, I was getting stuff in Avondale dirt cheap. Like, and you got abandoned houses over there.
Mhm.
But now lots, man, they selling lots for $100,000. I'm one of them.
That's crazy.
All right. Where that was, I bought the house. I tore the house down.
Mhm.
You know, I bought the house for like 13,000, 15,000, tore it down. I got like 20 grand in the lot. I'm gonna bang it for 100, 150.
Yeah. So,
you know,
one thing I learned from Mike and Nate, guys, is that, a lot of people will tell you, oh, buy in a good area, right? But that's actually not a very sound advice if you want like fast growth in your of your investment. The advice what I learned from them is you buy in an area in between a good area and a bad area. But the good area is moving towards the bad area. You buy at that border, right? And then that's where, property values change dramatically. And Mike mentioned about Avondale. That is actually true. If you research, like especially 5 years ago, Avondale is where 90% of violent crimes happen in Cincinnati. So, and yet, yeah, 90% of violent crimes happen in Avondale. And yet Avondale is growing like crazy. And, Avondale is one like Mike made so much
and you know,
money in Avondale.
I really bought in these neighborhoods by default.
Mhm.
It was, call it default if you want. It was all I knew. I didn't know these are like Loveland.
Mhm.
First, the houses cost more, and I
Right.
didn't know the neighborhoods, and I didn't know people that looked like me was buying over there. Like
Yep.
everybody I grew up around moved to these inner city.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. April, you said how many units are needed do you advise before you can have an on-site property manager? So it's kind of a trick question. It's not a
Yeah.
trick question, but it's about how much money is generated that you can develop for fees. But typically, once you get 20 units, if you're doing it as a regular property, you're gonna need a property manager or somebody, well, not necessarily a property manager, but you're gonna need help,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
maybe at 50 units and it's generating enough income that you could do that. But you can get a property manager, right? But you're not going to own the property manager, as I say. So there's kind of two
50
ways.
units, right? But with 100 units,
Now, with
it's
100
a
units,
full-time,
you can afford to pay somebody
Mhm.
because your property manager going to cost you 30, 50 thousand,
a year, right?
you know,
Mhm.
30, 50, 60,000. And you should be able to do that through collecting fees. Cause you know, you take 10% off something like that. I mean, that should be like $3 to $5 grand a month in fees that you're collecting, which would go to your property manager you pay. Then you have these other fees that you collect for phones and stuff like that. So, you know, I would say 100 comfortably.
Right.
50 you could probably do, but but at 20 you're gonna have to get some help. Like
Yep.
you may have managed it and did some minor repairs, but unless they're in a really nice area, but even at given times, man, you may have two tenants that moved out at the same time, or a plumbing issue, and you ain't got time to take them calls, and especially if they're spread out, you know, it's a challenge, man.
Yep.
So
The point is, buy a property, do the numbers by factoring in the cost of property management, right?
yeah,
Don't
Always-
self-manage if you can, you know, as much as possible.
yeah.
Otherwise, this business will drive you crazy.
Yeah. So April, man, you really engaged today. Thank you so much for joining. Naked Truth, 196 book is called From Broke to Million. Oh, thanks for sharing that with Aaron. I am Ashley Monique. Thank you. Who else we got, man? We get out of here. Oh, my man Chris, what's up? Don't be asking no difficult questions, Chris. Sick of this. What do y'all think I'm here to answer questions?
Christopher H got another one. It says, which is better, having private lenders or limited partners from a profit perspective and a headache perspective?
It depends.
Yeah, no, I mean, it all depends. It depends on your relationship. Like, if I could do it on my own, I would, right?
Mhm.
Because I ain't got nobody to talk to but me.
Right.
But like I said earlier, even Jesus Christ had the 12 disciples.
Yep.
So you're going to need, even if you paying your team, you're going to need a team, whether you pay them or not. But when you have people that are kind of partners and they bringing something to the table, that's very beneficial, right? Like Nate's really good at construction. So really, because I'm far removed from that, now I'm still dangerous. I know what I'm doing. I could bring people, but now, man, I just called Nate, like, man, send me some guys and I'll handle the rest, you know, when I'm doing some personal stuff. But I like private investors. I would rather deal with a private investor than a bank. I will say that. When you're raising capital, you really want as least as possible. That's why you go for the big money. But you take what you can get until you get there. That makes sense? You know, hey man, put my face on here, man. Nobody want to look at that thing no more. What?
All
Put me
right.
on?
I need to stop sharing.
Yes. If you look at this podcast, we ain't never had no video. Can you see my sexiness?
Yep. Yeah, it should be now. Yep.
What about here?
I don't know. Well,
Okay.
it's
That's something
synchromized.
different.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, those are the different things, man. Look for you know, if you can get a private investor big enough, man, the less the better. Like I told matter of fact, I shared with my guy, man, they end up having like 30, 40 investors to raise like $9 million, maybe 70 investors to raise $8 million. Now, was it worth it? Yes. But man, you're managing expectations on 80 different people. And you need to have the right, like even me, I was lagging behind on technology, which I'm upgrading now with portals. You know, I have portals for my investment, my multifamily, but I don't have it for my hotels. And it's because of the management company in the direction we were going. But now that I'm raising bigger capital, I got to create a portal and software and things like that. So you got to have different things to help manage the expectations. And I promise you, if you have that where people can log in, most of the time people ain't gonna even log in, but when they do, they can, and they happy, you know, they ain't dependent on you. All right. So look, man, we out of here. It's that time again. It is 1:59. And man, I had a great time with you, man. But I like to always say, God bless you. And God keep you. May God bless you beyond your belief, but not your capacity. And remember, you're one big deal away. Peace, man. I thank you all for joining me from Facebook to Apartment Investing Secrets to Berg to Instagram to Clubhouse. Thank you so much, man. Give everybody a round of applause. It's another great episode, man. I'll see you next week, man. Same time, same bat channel. 12 noon. We'll be here. Clubhouse, Instagram, all of the above, man. You one big deal away. See you next week. Take it easy. Peace.